سيد المرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد فانكحوا ما طاب لكم من النساء مثنى وثلاث ورباع صدق الله العظيم ببركة إن الله ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم مصلي عليه. Going straight to the topic, as you all know, I have been talking about the ahkam of nikah, and today I'm going to try and close this chapter of nikah. So next week, inshallah, I will be starting the chapter of talaq, divorce. Allah Ta'ala give me the tawfiq to finish this chapter of nikah. There's still a lot to cover in the only 20 or 25 minutes that I have. So, starting off from where I left last week, is that nikah in itself, there are three types of nikah. Hukm, the ahkam of nikah, are of three types. One is that nikah is sunnah. The other is that nikah is fard. And the third is when nikah, marrying, is haram. So, the first one is sunnah, meaning it is the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. It is sunnah upon the person to do the nikah. So when is that? When the person, he has no desire for himself, however he has the ability to afford the expenses of nikah. He himself can afford the expenses of nikah, and he can afford for his wife, and he can afford for the children that will come. So at this moment in time, doing a nikah, marrying someone, it is the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. The second one I mentioned is that it is farz for the person to do nikah. That is when a person cannot control his desires, and he knows that he will indulge into zina, into fornication. When a person reaches at this stage where he cannot control his desire and he will indulge into fornication, at that moment in time, marrying becomes farz. He has to marry. It is compulsory upon that person to do nikah. My own personal view is that the day and age that we live in today is pretty much farz upon every person to do nikah. This is my own personal view. People can disagree, because the amount of zina, how zina has become so abundant, and then how zina has become so easy, and then the controlling of the desires has become so difficult in the day and age that we live in today, that it is pretty much farz upon every single person to do nikah. Because the day and age that we live in now, everywhere you look, wherever you look, you might be working, you may be at home, or you may be using the phone. The term sexuality has become so normal for the people, that controlling the desires has become very, very difficult. And then, like I mentioned last week, the people who are married they still can't control their desires. Why? Because the viewing of the haram has become so easy. Even after marriage, a person cannot control his desires. This is the work of the Dajjalic system. There's a book by Ahmed Thompson, Dajjal and the Dajjalic System. If you have the opportunity to read this book, and he mentions in there that the Dajjalic system, one of it is that make zina so arm, so easy, so approachable that you cannot control your desires. This is what's happening in the day and age today where we live now, in the West. And not just in the West, in our subcontinent world as well, is exactly the same. The zina, the behudgi as they say, has become so easy that the desire to control it has become very difficult. Very difficult. Allah Ta'ala protect our ummah. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala protect our teenagers, our youngsters and our elders as well. Ameen. Then the third type, when nikah is haram. When nikah is totally haram. This might be something new for you. Nikah becomes haram when the person knows that he will indulge in zina after marriage. शादी के बाद भी जिना करेगा, ऐसा शख्स उस पर निकाह हराम है. Then a person who knows that he will not be able to afford the expenses of nikah, and he will not be able to afford the expenses of his wife and children to the bare minimum. The Sharia says that the bare minimum is living in one room. If a person does not have the expenses of living in one room, then such a person, nikah is haram upon him. He cannot do nikah. Because why the Sharia made it haram? Is because the Sharia is looking at his spouse. If his spouse comes into his relationship and then she has a difficult life because of this person, then that person, why should this individual who's come into his relationship, why should she go through the difficulty? Why should she be harmed because of this person who can't earn enough? This is why the Sharia has made it haram for that person to do nikah who cannot even afford the expenses of one room, the bare minimum of one room. Then, moving forward, I'm going to quickly move forward. I'm trying to wind up this topic. Can you look at your spouse or your coming spouse before marriage? Can you do that? Now the Sharia, the hadith hai, Anil Mughira ibn Shu'bata. Mughira bin Shu'ba, a very, very famous Sahabi. He says, Qala khatabtu imra'atan. I sent a pegam, I sent a woman, I asked her in marriage, a woman. فقال إلى رسول الله صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم. He said that I went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I asked him. And then he said to me, هل نظرت إليها? Have you looked towards her? Have you seen her? قال فقلت لا, I have not seen her يا رسول الله صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم. قال صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم فانظر إليها. Look towards her. بأنه أحرى أن يؤدم بينكما. Because by looking at her, it will increase, it is the reason of increasing of love between you two. By looking at your wife, there is a very high likely possibility that you will increase your love with that person. So now what does it prove? That a person can look at his coming spouse. Now over here, the Shariat has allowed only once, sirf ek baar. And when can you look at her? Is that you can look at her with pictures. Secondly, you can be in a sitting with her in one room, but the mahram needs to be with that person, with her. So meaning the girl and her father, or the girl and her brother, or the girl and her uncle, someone who is a mahram to her needs to be in that very room. And then you can meet that person and ask them about what they're working, how they're earning, what they are earning, what are their daily duties, what do they do every single day. All of these questions can be asked in a Shariat environment. But this today was happening is, firstly, you got the photo, the guy is looking at the photo on his WhatsApp. Yeah, he's looking at the photos again and again. This is haram. Then a person, he's after the ijab wa qabul, meaning after they've become so-called in a rishta, okay, mangni ho gayi, as they say. Now, what's happening? They're still talking to each other. They're still talking to each other, still going out on dates. They are not husband and wife. They are not husband and wife. But in our muashara, our environment is such that as soon as a mangni is done, what happens? They are then there going out with each other. The parents of each side say, Puttar, go out with her so you know her better. Now my question is, if we are going to send our daughters and our sons out with their mangetars, there is such a high likely chance that the haram will happen. Very high likely chance that the haram will happen. But if we are doing this, that allowing this to happen, this is haram. This is ashad haram. And then on top, using online apps to find a spouse. Can we do that? Can I use an online app to find a spouse? Yes, there's no harm in it. But the problem in this is that you get the personal number of that person of the opposite gender, and then all of this starts happening. That they're chatting to each other for over a year, they're still talking to each other, and then what happens is that when the nikah happens, that love between them has decreased now. Because they've already known each other for a very, very, very long time. Now when they've come into a nikah, into a rishta, that love is not there anymore. This is very, very armed, very, very armed now. It's so public now, all of these things are happening. Allah Ta'ala protect our ummah. Then, another thing is happening is at universities, is that the boy and the girl, they get introduced to each other at university. For example, they're doing a group assignment, and in that group assignment, he sees there's a girl in that group. Then after that, he gets introduced to her. Because they're doing the assignment, there's a type of love increasing. Now what happens, when the love increases so much, they then try to get a nikah done. What happens then? The parents on one side, the parents say, no, your nikah is going to happen with your cousin in Pakistan. The girl says, no, I am going to get married to this person. Now what happens? The father's on one side and the children on one side. The parents on one side, the children on one side. At this moment in time, what should the parents do? Over here, I would say, my mashwara, a mukhlis mashwara to the parents over here, that if your child is forcing that he should be married to a certain girl, the mashwara is this. Aage aapne lena ya nahi lena is up to you. But my mashwara is that if he wants to marry a girl, then let him marry. No problem. Because at least he's trying to protect himself from haram. The bare minimum he's trying to do is protect himself from haram. Let him do it. However, because he is forcing himself to be married to that person, Punjabi ki kehte ne, us puttar nu wakh karo. This is the word in Punjabi, meaning you separate that boy. You separate him and say to him, if you're going to marry that girl and not marry the girl whom we want, fine, go ahead, marry that person, but hold and pay for your own expenses. Have your own house or go and rent, pay for your own expenses, pay for your own rent, your bills, you pay separate, we live separate. But be together, meet each other, that's not a problem. But he should be separate because he wants to marry that girl, go ahead, no problem. And the parents should be happy at that. This is my mashwara, this is how you deal with this situation. Iska hal ye hai, usko wakh kar dein, Punjabi, wakh karo, go separate. If he is, as they say, a man, if he's man enough, he will accept it. Or if he's not, what will happen? He will say, I can't do that. I can't live on my own. And what will happen? He'll be forced to not go towards that girl. This is the how you deal with this situation here. Moving forward, I'm moving very fast now. The method of nikah. What is the tariqah of nikah? In nikah, there are certain things which are done. One thing is ijab and qabul. Ijab means I give myself to you. मैंने अपना आप आपको दिया. And qabul means मैंने कबूल किया. I accept. So both the girl and the boy, both of them can do this. You can do ijab from the girl or you can do ijab from the boy. Both can do it. However, this has to be in one majlis. एक majlis में हो ijab और qabul. It should be in one majlis. It cannot be what's happening that they're doing nikah online, using Skype or using WhatsApp to do a nikah. Now, doing a nikah on WhatsApp or doing a nikah on Skype, can this happen? Legally speaking, that they are not in one majlis. Due to this reason, it will not happen. However, the ulama have made an easiness here. That the nikah on Skype or WhatsApp can happen with one sharat. Ek sharat ho. And that condition is that the vakil, the person representing, vakil means representer. The representer of the girl side should be in that majlis, should be in that place. And she accepts from that side and he accepts from her, and the vakil, the person, the representer is there present from the girl side. Like this, the nikah will happen. Nikah ho jayega. But this is the condition the ulama have put, that the vakil, the representer, has to be in the majlis. If he is not there, such a nikah will not happen. Aisa nikah nahi hoga. Did I make myself clear there? Samajh aayi? Nahi samajh aayi? Samajh aagi? Chalo. Then, another thing, people ask, how many times should the nikah be repeated? कितने बार बोला जाए कि कबूल है कबूल है कबूल है? Once is enough. एक बार काफी है. You don't need to repeat it 5 times. You don't need to repeat it 3 times. एक बार कहने से निकाह हो जाएगा. Just by saying it once, the nikah will happen. What we do, in the way I do it, is I repeat it 3 times. Reason being, one, sunnah, and secondly is that it gives satisfaction to the person that yes, I am agreeing that I am doing the nikah. It gives that mental satisfaction. Then the person doing the nikah, the vakil, meaning, for example, I am the Maulvi Sahab, I am doing the nikah. Me as a representative should go to the girl's side and ask her directly for permission. That do you agree to marrying such a person? So for example, by Rashid, I say, by Rashid, you are to marry Maimuna, for example. Do you? And Maimuna said, I agree. Me as a person should ask this question to the girl. That Maimuna, do you agree to marry Rashid? And if she said yes, the nikah will happen. Okay? You have to say it. The boy, the wakil, the Maulvi Sahab has to be there. Another thing, हमारे पाकिस्तानी मुआशरे में बड़ा होता है, निकाह के वक़्त 6 कलमे पढ़ाए जाते हैं. Reading all 6 कलमे, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह, अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह वहदहु ला शरीका लहु, अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदन अब्दुहु रसूलुहु, सुब्हानल्लाहि वल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि वला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अकबर, ला हौला वला कुव्वता इल्ला बिल्लाहिल अलिय्यिल अज़ीम. फिर आगे 6 कलमे तक. ये now, do you have to say the kalmas in your nikah? 6 kalme padhane zaruri hai nikah mein? The answer is no. Koi zarurat nahi. There's no need of reading all 6 kalma. Hatta ki you don't even need to read the first kalma. Pehle kalme ke padhne ki koi zarurat nahi. It is not sunnah, it is not farz, it is not wajib, kuch bhi nahi. We do it because hum ye karte hain कि बंदे का तजदीद ईमान हो जाए. He renews his iman at the time of nikah. The reason why is done. But legally speaking, from the Sharia, if a person at the time of nikah does not read the kalma, the nikah is done. Nikah ho jayega, kalma padhne ki koi zarurat nahi. There's no need to read the kalma. Then another thing, at the time of nikah, witnesses. In our muashara we have this thing ki jo gawah hai, the gawah need to be one from the boy side, one from the girl side. This also is un-Islamic. Koi zarurat nahi. In the nikah, the gawah, the witnesses, what does the Sharia say? The Sharia says that at the time of nikah, there needs to be two male Muslim men, or one Muslim woman and one Muslim man and two females Muslim. These are the witnesses required for the nikah. No need that we have four from one side and four from one side. I went to a nikah, मैंने एक निकाह पढ़ाया इधर बरनज में, मैं हैरान, 8 गवाह जी। मैंने कहा यार क्या हो रहा है, देखिए 4 हमारी साइड से 4 लड़की की साइड से। मैं क्या मेरा पेपर खत्म हो जाना, ताड़े गवाह नहीं मुकड़े, ओके। नाउ दिस the witnesses you only need 2, though bas, no more than that, from any side, meaning you can have one from the boys side, one from the girls side, or even 2 from the boys side or 2 from the girls side. Just 2 gawah there mawjood at the time of nikah, when the ijab of qabul is happening. I accept, she said I accept, that's fine. No need of 4 from that side, 4 from that side. Absolutely pathetic. Phir aage, another thing, people think that at the time of nikah, the khutbah is part of the nikah. Khutbah in nikah. This khutbah of the nikah is only sunnah to be said. It is not farz, it is not wajib. If both the girl and the boy side accept, that is fine. The Maulvi Sahab does not need to say the khutbah. Khutbah ki koi zarurat nahi. Now, moving forward, the mahar, as we say, the dowry. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَمَسْتَمْتَعْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْهُنَّ فَآتُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ. That when you want to marry minhunna from one of them, فَآتُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ, then give them their dowry. Unka haq do. From here we learn that mahar is farz. You have to give the mahar. Mahar dana zaruri hai. How much mahar should you give? The bare minimum the Shariat has said, the mahar should be, the dowry should be equal to 10 dirhams, which is around 20 pounds. And beyond that, whatever is agreed, and you write it down on the nikah form, that is wajib for the husband to pay. I did a nikah opposite Shell, the Shell pump there a few years ago. I was shocked at the mahar. The mahar was 15,000 pound cash with 4,000 pound worth of gold. This is how much mahar he was going to give. I said, fine, I don't have a problem, I'm going to write it down. Now, what is the sunnah? Huzur alayhi salatu wasalam ki sunnat kya hai? As Aisha Siddiqa raziyallahu ta'ala anha, she says कि हुजूर अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम ने हमारी तमाम अज़वाज, all of the wives of the Prophet अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम, he अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम, he gave 500 dirhams as a mahar to each wife. 500 dirhams. Now how much does that equal today? Today that we live in, it equals to around 1,000 pounds. 1,000 pounds of mahar he अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम gave to all of his wives. Sorry azwaj ko Huzur अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम ने इतना दिया. So when you are writing the mahar down, कम अज़ कम 1,000 pound लिखें, कम अज़ कम at least 1,000 pounds, that it can help her after marriage, it can help that wife after marriage, that 1,000 pounds, ये कम अज़ कम लिखें. अब मुआता मेरे पास बहुत है. Just one thing, I'm going to end on this one thing, that when you are doing the nikah, do it in simplicity. Usme, there's no need to show off with having a BMW i8 or Rolls Royce that we are going to rent out for one day, not one day, for a few hours. All of this is fazul, not needed. He alayhi salatu wasalam did all of his nikah with simplicity. I've had nikahs over here in the very masjid. Nikah bhi yahan, walima bhi isi masjid mein. Yet the simplicity is what we needed. Today, our nikah, our brothers and sisters are not marrying. Why? Because the expenses of nikah have become so high that the parents say we can't afford nikah. Hum nikah kar hi nahi sakte because it's so high. Why have we gone to that extent? Hum kyun itne aage gaye? Why? Ab phir nikah ho nahi rahe. And like I mentioned last week, when nikah is not happening, what will happen? Fitna will be armed. We need to come down. Those expenses are not needed. This BMW, Lamborghini, Bugatti, Veyron, none of them are needed. कोई ज़रूरत नहीं. A simple car, simple ijab and qabul is needed. That's it. अगर आपने खाना रखना है, बेशक रखें. ये अगर you're going to do in a hall, बेशक do in a hall. But going over the top, for example, we had a person from Bolton, the theatre from Bolton. He said, I've seen people paying thousands and thousands of pounds on fireworks that will last for 1 minute. इसकी क्या ज़रूरत है? And when this is happening, there's no barakah in our nikahs then. Barakah is gone then. Allah Ta'ala हमें हुजूर की सुन्नत को अपनाने की तौफीक नसीब फरमाए और हमारे निकाहों में अल्लाह ताला बरकतें नसीब फरमाए. हमारे जो शादियां हो रहे हैं उनमें अल्लाह ताला बरकतें नसीब फरमाए. बीमारियों से अल्लाह ताला महफूज फरमाए. व आखिर अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन. अज़ान.